Hello, it has been a while. I've just told myself I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna record. I've thought of this for years, literally on and off. I'd have the idea of recording and then I just wouldn't. But here I am, I'm just going for it. I just want to get started and I'm gonna start talking more on this channel. I wrote a little thing to begin because I needed to wrap my head around where I was going with this. So I'm about to make a humble video for the first time in over 2 years. Where to begin? Well, this channel was an opportunity for me to actively articulate a lot of the internal shifts I was experiencing. Shifts in my values, in my worldview, my perceptions of reality, consciousness, God, the purpose of my existence. This channel helped me create a model of understanding, a foundation on which I can build a life, or I can begin building a life. Something sturdy. Oh, that's a call. Here, I'm going to answer that in a bit. Not free from fear, suffering, pain, chaos, but a shelter to withstand the storms of life, and perhaps even derive fuel, meaning, purpose from the difficulty, from the painful, from the uncomfortable. This brings me to the great shift I've experienced over the last few years. It's a shift from it's a shift from boyhood to manhood, from childhood to adulthood. It's growing up. Excuse me. So that's kind of really the theme, I'd say, of the last couple years. Definitely more so the last year, is just growing up. Understanding what that even means. So I just want to say now I'm off the cuff. I don't know what I'm about to say, so we're going to think out loud. That's what I love about this channel. So, yeah, I kind of really started grasping what that looks like. How do I put that into words, man? I started reading Carl Jung. I read his memoir, and it blew my mind. Look it up if you're interested in that kind of stuff. He's one of the most interesting people I've ever read, and gave me a lot of food for thought. And also, not even food for thought, man. Like, it started changing the way that I look at life. Like, for example, I was listening to a Harry Potter audiobook, the first book, and basically I think reading Carl Jung has gotten me to listen to things and read things and look at things and perceive reality, but take it in through a lens that actually means something. He's big on symbolism and myth. So you take something and it's not about the thing. It's, analogous or metaphorical of something bigger, something deeper, something that relates to you. And that's what I loved about reading him, is I felt like I was just reading about myself. And I think that's what I love about, another thing I love about the way he talks is it really is just, he's trying to develop a framework by which all human beings can relate. And looking at myth and the different religions and all the different traditions and stories that have been passed down through the generations in all different cultures, you start to see this common thread that ties us all together as human beings. And I think that's really beautiful. And there's a lot I can go into with what I've read by Jung and how it got me thinking. But I was listening to the Harry Potter audiobook, and Harry Potter enters this room and there's a mirror and it shows him his family. And he gets obsessed with the mirror because his family's dead. He doesn't know his family. So he goes back the second night and the third night. And then Dumbledore sees him and says, "Hey, Harry, what are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, I didn't see you. Just looking in the mirror, whatever." And Dumbledore goes, you got to know what it does by now." And he says, "No, I don't know. What does it do?" And he's like, "Let me put it this way. The happiest man on earth would look into the mirror and see himself exactly as he is. And I mean, that's like a really great way of describing it. But just the way I see the world now, I had to write it down. It blew me away. I was like, because I thought to myself, what if when I look in the mirror, that's what's happening? And I just like, I don't know. It's so hard to explain with words, but I just see the world in a different way. And how does that relate to growing up? Well, another thing that the Jungian people are big on is initiation, about how in a lot of different cultures, mostly primitive cultures, had traditions of, turning a boy into a man or turning a, girl into a woman or whatever. And that there was a real emphasis on that moment in their culture, and that we don't really have that. We sort of like, in certain religions we do, but in this world, which is largely devoid of those old traditions, people just go about life and they're like, oh, I turned 18 and here I am. I'm a man now. I can vote. I can gamble. I can almost drink. And that's it. I'm 18. And there's no real, like, what does it mean? And I think the reason it's so important to me is that, you recognize that life, like in a funny way, it's both, you can go about life and life takes care of life. And I agree that we're all guided, and I feel that blessing in my own life in so many ways. But there's like a meeting halfway sort of thing where you realize that the power we have as human beings is that we can bring order to the chaos of nature. Like, we have built societies and structures in a way that millions of people can eat, millions of people can have roofs over their heads and running water and all these things that we wouldn't have if we didn't have societies, and if we didn't congregate in that way and create order from the chaos. And I think that's just a beautiful thing that human beings can do, but it requires this maturation process. And I don't know, I'm trying to think of where I was just going with my thoughts. Yeah, get used to this, man. I'm just going to be rambling. But it relates to my own life because I recognize that, you can't go about life as a child. It's funny too, because I'm like, in my brain, as I say something, I'm recognizing there's a reversal. You can look at it completely the opposite way, where it's like, adults need to be more like children in a lot of ways. And I agree. But there's like, you need to, and I'm saying you as in I'm talking about myself here. I ain't about to teach anybody anything. I'm just being me. And if you're anything like me, you'll receive some type of aha moments from what I'm saying, which I certainly have by people who do videos like this. But I find that part of the maturation process is, taking responsibility, obviously. My life is the way it is, and whatever happened, but now it's up to me to do the damn thing. It's me. I'm the only person who can do it. And by do it, I just mean like, eat good, sleep an adequate amount of hours, stretch my body out, take care of myself, say no to the cravings and whatever temptations you might have that lead you down a path of, I don't know, whether it be drug and alcohol abuse or whatever that is. Delaying gratification. But I think, too, it's also about not being so self-centered. When you're a child, you've got to be self-centered. You need to take care of yourself. You're a little thing in a big, bad world, and you're pretty much just relying on the adults around you to do that for you, to take care of you. And so it's good to be self-centered when you're a child, but as an adult, a self-centered adult, there's nothing good about that. I mean, I could see my own life. If I was self-centered, what path I would go down, and it's not great. A lot of what I do is because I feel like it's going to serve the whole. And when I talk about society, the things that we have built as human beings that really take care of all of us, like I said, the homes that we all live in, the running water, the food that we all have. I mean, one can argue the problems with the economy and inflation and all that, and I'm definitely there with you, but it is also important to just look at what we've built and be like, wow, like we have the opportunity here. Like things can always be better, but man, are things really good right now. Where was I going with that? Where was I going with that? But I find that part of the maturation process is you become a servant to something bigger than yourself. And in a lot of ways, that is your community. That is your family. It is the greater world beyond. And that's what I feel like I've been really directing more focus towards with the content I create and this channel and other things. If you're interested in other content that I do, by the way, I'll put it in the description. But yeah, and it's a more fulfilling existence, I feel like when I was a kid, I never really had that view of like, I didn't care about the world. And I was curious about that. I remember thinking like, why don't I care about the world? Like, why do I? But that's just obviously where my frontal lobe was at. That's just where I was at when I was a child. And it's funny that I'm talking about this. I'm 26 years old and I'm talking about this like it's, like I should have grown up a long time ago. But I feel that a lot of this came in the last couple of years. Probably largely due to the fact that I never had a real moment where I was initiated into manhood, adulthood, and really shown what that means. So, yeah, it's been huge for me. I'm trying to explain the value I've gotten from it because I'm just spitting words right now. But the value I've gotten from it, okay, so meaning is definitely one of them. Meaning, purpose. I spoke a lot about Man's Search for Meaning in some past videos because I had read that book and it blew me away. And a lot of it is that, like, if you have a big enough meaning in your life, then you can bear almost anyhow, is what they say. And let's be honest, there's going to be a lot of hows, a lot of circumstances, a lot of things in life that seem unbearable. And that's just the nature of reality as a human being. Like, death and loss and tragedy, and not to mention even just the conditions that people are like, if you're empathetic or compassionate in any way and you look at what's going on in the world, in certain parts of the world, your heart breaks, your heart aches. So it's almost, for me, it's really important to have a meaning, have a purpose, have something that I can orient my life towards, that is that makes life worth living. Me and my brother and a friend of mine are starting a podcast, and we're calling it "It's Gotta Be Good." And it was never intended like it. My friend was just like, "Oh, what should we call the podcast?" And my brother goes, "Oh, it's gotta be good. Like whatever name it is, it's gotta be good." But we heard that and we're like, oh, that's kind of cool. It's got to be good. And to me, what that means is it really is just and we say it to each other. Like even yesterday, upon leaving, my friend yells, "It's got to be good." And I go, "Yeah, it's got to be good." And it's just been a thing that we say to each other. And to me, every time I hear it, I think to myself, it is facing the harsh realities of existence, of life, and facing it with just a fierce optimism, with it's gotta be good. It's gotta be good. And I demand that it has gotta be good. Because if I don't do that, as a conscious human being who has eyeballs and looks around and sees what's going on, I will, I'll need to numb out. I'll need to run away from it because it's so hard to look at. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of beauty happening too. Don't get me wrong. The glass is half full in a lot of ways, but but that declaration for me is very necessary. And that's part of the maturation process as well, is you now have a worldview that's bigger than yourself, that gives you the drive and energy to say it's got to be good. And now you can go about life and withstand those things. I think another part of the maturation process, and it's funny word saying, I don't know why I keep saying that, but another aspect of growing up would be facing pain and suffering head on. For some reason, I don't know what it is. It could literally just be that my brain is fully developed now. I don't know, but I'm not afraid of pain. I'm aware that I'm gonna face some intense pain in my life. It happens. It'll happen when I least expect it, sort of thing. You trip, you fall, you cut yourself, whatever it is. Or even just like people that I love are going to leave me, and that's going to happen. And there's just a part of me that is just ready for it. Like, I'm not hiding anymore. I've accepted it. I think it's important to wake up in the morning and say, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so happy to be here. But, and also pray for the strength and, the ability to withstand, like I said in the thing, the foundation on which to build this home, where the wind can hit it and everything can hit it, but it's not going to fall. I read that actually in the book of, was it Matthew, last night, where Christ was saying that, my teachings, if you follow them, are like what was it? It's like a house which is built on the rock, versus if you listen and you don't follow the teachings, your house will be built on sand. And when you hit life and life's going to hit you, your house will fall, and you might not be able to bear that. You might not be able to handle that, And I hope I'm not too dark in this conversation, but I think that's one of the things about being an adult too, is like life isn't just, blowing bubbles and running around and playing and laughing and, not getting the candy that you want. It's like, no, life is intense in a lot of ways. But in that intensity, there's great meaning, there's great passion, there's a quest, there's a journey in which your life, is like, it's waiting for you to embark on that journey, So, yeah, that's just been the theme of my life lately. Another big part of that, a great part of that, has been, actually, no, it's fine. I was going to turn the ISO up. This is all underexposed now. It got darker. But a great part of it has been that I'm so comfortable with myself now. Like I really am not. I think when your life is in service to something bigger than yourself, whether it be your community or just any other human being that is outside of you, you start thinking less about yourself and you stop caring about what other people think as much. Which I know, like one of my oldest, most popular videos was, stop caring what people think, and how I stopped caring. But those things creep up, and I found a new level of freedom from that in, just being completely comfortable with who I am, and, not caring about myself as much. Like, I don't care what you think of me. I'm not looking for, I've said this, because I feel like I read a couple of those words in the Bible as well, where it was like, I'm not seeking the glory of men. I'm seeking the glory of God. I'm seeking the glory of something greater than myself. Like if there was a mission in my life, and if that mission was a person, I would want their glory. If that mission was personified as a being, I would want the glory of that being. I would want my ideal life, my ideal self to look at me and go, you're doing so great, and that's the glory I'm looking for. And so I'm not as fixated on how I look, how I appear, what I'm accomplishing, even trying to impress or whatever, or trying to be something that I'm not. Like I'm so ready for someone to meet me and be like, that guy's so uninteresting, I could care less about him. I'm fine with that. I'm ready for that more than ever. Whereas before, I think I always wanted to have an impact on somebody. I've always wanted to mean something to somebody. And now I could care less. I'm totally fine if I am a cog in a machine, a beautiful machine that, you know, pumps out love and joy and all the good things and safety and security for all of humanity. If I'm a cog in that machine, then great. I'll be a cog. I'll be the pawn. I ain't about to. Yeah, I'm not in it for the glory, for the recognition or anything like that. I could care less, man. So yeah, I just want to say thank you for everybody who has commented and asked, where are you? What are you doing for the last couple of years? Because it's pushed me to do this. And as much as this will help people, which I'm sure it will, but it certainly helps me. Like I said, this channel has given me an ability to articulate ideas and form a model of understanding, or like a mental picture of what is life, and trying to wrap my head around what, yeah, and all of it. This channel has helped me just kind of put the pieces on the table and kind of play around with them, organize them, just play around with these ideas and wrap my head around things. And I hope all that makes sense. And it's just been, it's always nice to have the ability to just like riff like this and stumble my way into an aha moment. Because I've had many aha moments during this conversation where, you're stuck in your head. You don't give yourself the ability to talk about it, right? And let's be honest, I ain't about to just ramble on to somebody for 20 minutes. So the fact that I could do this and it's almost like world's greatest listener is a camera, because it's not going to interrupt you and it's going to let you work through what you need to work through. So it's kind of great. So yeah. I hope you enjoyed this. I'll leave my stuff in the description. You'll see what I've been up to. Working on a movie right now. I released an album a couple years ago. Man, so many things. And yeah, I'm just grateful that I've gotten this opportunity. Hope you enjoy it. If you have any questions, any comments or anything like that, let me know. If you want to email me, I'll leave my email in the description as well. You can shoot me an email. We could talk, whatever you need. And yeah, I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.